all these things are happening in the world. We are very blessed to have Deputy Chief of Peel Region Police, and I was looking at Nick Milinovich is a Deputy Chief of the Peel Crime Stoppers. We are lucky enough to get hold of him at the end of the day, because sometimes people wants, if you will listen something directly from our Deputy Chief, that will mean a lot, that we are in the very safe hands of our wonderful police. I welcome you, Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich. Thank you very much for being with us.
Good afternoon, and very happy to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity to have the conversation.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. We are little unlucky today that we wanted to see you here at the studio, but you know what? These are the hiccups in life. But I believe these are all the challenges which make me to live even little bit more. So tomorrow I might have a chance to welcome you here at the studio. Now I have Majid Jamal here with me, and I think the first thing he will open the door first. What's up in your mind, Majid?
Welcome, Chief. Welcome to Sazo Awaz Radio. My first question, which everybody is interested, especially in Peel, the rise of the crimes. And my question to you is, what tools are you applying to stop all this?
Yeah, no, you know what? Rising crime and community safety definitely top on a lot of our community's list. And, you know, that's the bad news is this is a trend, and some of the things that we're seeing in terms of crime are things that aren't exclusive just to Peel Region. You know, unfortunately, some of the same things that attract our community members to live and work in Peel also attract criminals to our jurisdiction. That's the bad news. The good news is we have some of the very best and most talented police officers that are working, one, to identify people who are responsible for crime in Peel, to make sure that they're held accountable and arrest them and put them before the courts. And we're really, really good at doing that. In terms of what we're doing, you know, we've organized ourselves in a way that is commensurate to the pressures that we are seeing. Last year, we expanded our commercial robbery unit. We involved ourselves or invested more resources in joint forces operations that were oriented towards some of the carjackings that we've seen. We've also deployed a number of teams and specialized officers to identify persons who may be in possession of firearms and those types of things. So, you know, at a 50,000-foot level, what we're doing is we're deploying more resources to the priorities and to the issues that our community is seeing. That's from a policing perspective. But the other thing that we're doing that I think really defines Peel and our approach to some of these issues is we're looking for opportunities outside of the scope of policing. And we're advocating on behalf of our community for change to things to make it safer in our community, to make it more difficult for people to export stolen cars from our country, make it more difficult for the smuggling of illegal firearms into our country. And oftentimes we have to do that with a variety of stakeholders, whether it be political leadership, different agencies that are in our police service, but certainly we've seen some success there. And we are making a difference. We're arresting more people and charging more people with the offenses that are really shaking our community's feelings of safety. And we've had some tremendous success in advocating for change to make it more difficult for criminals to be out on our streets and committing these crimes.
Thank you very much, Police Chief. Let me ask you one question. It's off the, other than interview. Sometimes I feel it's very difficult to stay very serious all the day. And all the day, morning till evening, even you must dream about these thefts and crimes at night. So are you not becoming a very serious person?
It's a great question. You know, I've been here in Peel for 5 years, and I just want to make sure I share some credit with you. I don't think I've ever had anybody ask me that, but it definitely shows, you know, the level of thought that you put on this interview. It's difficult. So
very difficult.
Yeah, it is. 24/7. Our people live and breathe this stuff.
That's right.
it's not, Peel is a large jurisdiction, one of the largest municipal police services in the country, and there is a lot that happens here in Peel. So I think it's important. As a team, we support one another. Of course, you have to develop things to allow yourself to disconnect. But it's a very serious job which we take serious. But the reality is, if we don't look after our officers and make sure that they're in the right space, then it's difficult for them to look after our community. So that's definitely an area where we invested and make sure that our team is good.
Thank you very much, because laughter and relaxation, that definitely makes you live longer and healthy life. But I feel it's very difficult. Officer, once we talk about the Brampton, I think so the whole Ontario, and I believe the whole world is bullying each other one way or the other, and the crime is around. Majid Jamal is from Markham, and I believe Markham is worse than AR Bramton. I always look at the positive side of the picture. I always keep myself positive.
Even the chief don't believe that.
No, he does. He does. He must be thinking that who these are. Now, Officer Chief, my question over here is: I understand our police is working tirelessly, and now they have there are more investigations, and they find more gangsters, more cars are recovered. Even insurance companies, they realize that now at the end of the day, police find these cars and they are reaching to these culprits. What do you think that call spoofing, harming others on social media, crimes, guns, people having Kalashnikov AK-47's picture on the car, do you stop them, and do you think is it stoppable, or this is 21st century, people are becoming insane?
Yeah, again, another great question, right? The reality is our community will be as healthy and safe as we are willing to support one another and treat one another with dignity and respect. And, you're right. On social media, you see a variety of comments. It is a complex world, and, the possibility for a community to become quickly polarized from one another exists. And, as a police service, we have a sole responsibility, which is to objectively pursue and protect our community's safety, regardless of the perspective that an individual group may have. And, that's something that we do. But, my message would always be, treat one another with the respect and consideration that you would expect from anybody else, or that you may give to a family member. Like, prior to this position, I used to have an opportunity quite often to speak to new recruits, and one of the things that we would always share with them is you have an opportunity often to intervene in what could be a person's most difficult time in their life. Don't ever underestimate the value of what you can do in that space. But other times, you're just going to interact with people on a regular day-to-day basis. But, you do serve as an example. So always treat people with respect, be kind, considerate, and help one another. And if more people did that, we'd be in a much better place.
Last two questions that Arifa asked you, Chief. You said great questions, okay? And I'm writing it down now. I asked a question, you never said great question. Break-ins. Everybody is scared and tired of hearing about break-ins. What kind of tips can you give us to prevent break-ins?
Yeah, definitely. Great question.
Oh, thank you.
One of my favorites of this time.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Like, there's a couple of different elements in order to protect your house from break-ins, and there's different types of break-ins that we're talking about. Whether it be a home invasion, which is not really a break-in, it's actually a robbery and a very violent incident, which we have seen increases in. And then, of course, you have, the more passive break-in, oftentimes during the day when hopefully nobody's home. And a lot of the prevention things are same for the both, or similar for both. Invest in reinforced doors, make sure that You do as much as you can to reinforce the perimeter of your home, inclusive of things like spotlights, floodlights, security cameras, things of that nature are going to make it less appealing and less attractive for criminals to attempt to enter your house. The other big thing too is, and people are getting away from this more and more, know who your neighbors are. Know the type of vehicles that are normally in your neighborhood. And if you see something suspicious, record the license plate, and please feel free to call police and let us know that there's a suspicious area or a suspicious vehicle in the area. Of course, lock your doors and windows, and keep valuables out of sight and off of social media. More and more often, 15 years ago, people, when they're looking for a house or a victim to target, they would drive around neighborhoods. But what we're seeing more and more often is people who are more than likely being targeted because they've posted about some of their valuables or their vehicles on social media, and then people end up arriving at their homes. So, obviously you want to be considerate of that. And then, join neighborhood programs or social media groups with the objectives of preventing crime and identifying suspicious people in your neighborhood.
Thank you very much, sir. A community watch. When I came to Canada around 30 years ago, I used to watch on every street a board with the road and I at the end. It was a community watch program. I don't see these programs very often, one thing. Another thing is now the stealing cars, carjacking is common, and then it's intelligent, our police is intelligent now. They have put scanners so they cannot export these cars, but they are using these stolen cars to break in more jewelry stores, which has made their life terrible, like the jewelry business people. What would you say? What is the word of calmness you can give to those small businessmen? They pay high insurances, they hurt themselves, and anything for that.
Yeah, definitely not a trend that we're mute to. The first thing I would do to offer in terms of comfort is we're aware and certainly have seen the escalation of jewelry stores being targeted for robbery. As I mentioned, thankfully we've got an incredibly strong robbery bureau and investigative units in our division that, when these robberies happen, do a really good job of identifying, pursuing the people responsible and holding them accountable. But, the other thing I would say outside of the traditional policing response that we're engaging in here is we do an assessment of the type of people that are involved in these crimes. And, our service has been a strong advocate for discussions on the need to review bail legislation. Are the people that are committing these robberies out on some form of release? Quite often they are. How is it that they're able to so easily access firearms? We've seized record numbers of firearms this year that we have never seized in our history as a police service. So, we're going to officials responsible for our borders and other security and policing partners and building programs to make it more difficult for illegal firearms to come in. So, obviously we target the person responsible for that individual theft or robbery. But we also look to fill the gaps that make it either attractive for them to commit that crime or easy to commit it. And this is something that we applied in the area of auto thefts. Still continues to be a huge issue here in Ontario and across Canada. But, 2024, we were able to secure over 20% reduction in the number of thefts of autos that are occurring. Now, 20% on its own is a substantial number, but that represents over $70 million in a reduction of auto theft in Peel Region alone. So that puts it in perspective. And we applied the same process. So, the jewelry store thefts is something that we're concerned about. We're speaking with not just the small business owners, but a number of organizations that represent, a variety of jewelry store distributors, gold and precious metal distributors, to talk about preventative things and how we can support them.
And I believe you must address the community watch as well. We don't see that program anymore, like the community as a whole used to protect each other.
Yeah, it was. It's something that has had a bit of an ebb and flow in terms of popularity, and like some of that's due to programs like Crime Stoppers being developed where people can call in and anonymously. And again, that's something that I would encourage your listeners to take advantage of. You can call in anonymously and provide information on a crime, and we'll investigate that. And if it works out, of course, there's the potential for a reward there. But what we see more often than not are neighborhood associations that are run by people from the community. And, I've been to a number of town halls from a variety of neighborhood or residents associations, and, they fill some of that space now. But also, and this is why I mentioned it's so important for communities to know one another. I think it's becoming less or more difficult for people to remain connected with their neighbors, and that creates a bit of vulnerability there. And probably why you see fewer of those programs.
Thank you. My last question, and what I learned from you is for the bail, that is a review of the bail legislation. I request all the listeners and everybody in the community. Now we are expecting federal election. We are expecting provincial election. When you vote for somebody, you must ask them the legislation, change in the legislation. Change in the legislation, because if somebody steals, they must not be bailed out and doing the same thing that night. Again, now thank you very very kindly. What do you think the police requires more fund, and if police get more fund, my mayor of Brampton is, I love him, the best of the best mayor in all the areas. What do you think? Does police need more funding, and if you get more funding, you can control these things in crimes?
Yeah, definitely. So, in order to provide adequate and effective policing, we do. We need more funding so that we can put, the reality is more boots on the street, more police officers on the street. We currently are going through our budgeting process, and we are planning on hiring and hopefully deploying more officers than we ever have. And the need to do that is twofold. Just by virtue of the contemporary pressures in community safety that we've been talking about here today, and that our community is feeling, we need to have more police to protect the community members in our community from people that come to our community and attempt to victimize them. That's one part of it. The other part is, historically, in terms of policing, our police service has been under-resourced. When you compare Peel, for example, to the other large municipal police services like Toronto, like Montreal, like those types of places, we are much lower in police officer to population ratios, even without any increase in our resourcing, and to the tune of almost 100. So we are, we do incredibly well, thankfully, because of the people that we have with the resourcing that we do have. But the reality is, crime and some of the pressures we're experiencing are getting worse, and we are already under-resourced and understaffed. So we do need more resourcing on our streets.
Thank you very kindly, very much. But this is we appreciate for your time. But you know what? My mind is very curious. Even with the age, it is becoming more and more curious, because sometimes people, they get too many tickets for the speeding and they get frustrated. Did you laugh, or what did you feel when somebody took the speeding camera and put it in the water? How did you feel that day when you got this news?
Well, I don't.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, well, that's fine. So my portfolio is investigative and emergency services. That wouldn't have made its way up to me, but I do seem to recall something. But here's what I have to tell you.
Yeah.
In terms of the primary causes why people are either injured or killed on our streets,
Is speeding.
Impaired driving, distracted driving, and aggressive driving.
Absolutely right.
And speed cameras absolutely help reduce the speed on our roads. So if it saves a life, I support them wholeheartedly.
Beautiful. Chief, I thank you very much. If I did something wrong or said something wrong, I do apologize, because I always get one chance when I interview you. Otherwise, I'm always scared once police comes after me. They don't
No
come
problem.
after me. I love you. I love my police. They are the best. Police, our paramedics. We respect them, and you know what? They put their lives on their palm. They are great people. They are our saviors. Sir, thank you very kindly for being with us, and I look forward. Please do come again in the studio.
Absolutely will.
Yeah,
And,
I'll take a picture with you, and you know I'll feel proud. You, at least a uniform guy is with me.
Amazing. I'm happy to do it. I apologize I wasn't able to get there today, but I you have my commitment. I will come, and happy to come and speak to you again. And I also want to say thank you to you.
Thank you very
These are
kindly.
important conversations, very important to our community. So
Thank
I
you
appreciate you allowing me the opportunity.
It's a beautiful country, Canada. Milinovich, and I was thinking about our squash player, Milinovich. You speak so good English. I could not even think about once upon a time, your parents were immigrants.
Absolutely, they are, definitely.
God bless you. This is Deputy Chief of Police, Nick Milinovich. Thanks, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Great day to you. Chand sponsors will come back. Stay tuned. There is